Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Wednesday, February 21st, 2018. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right now, we are clearly at the center, right at the center of that large impulse sell-off that we saw to end January and begin February. That's a major impulse sell-off that we have now, and it gave us a very clear key range with important levels to watch, the outer edges and the midpoint. And you can see how price has basically traded around the midpoint right now and is sticking just above it at 27.15 currently. What I mentioned before was whenever you have a very strong uptrending market like this and then you have a giant impulse sell-off, that usually occurs in order to create a new range to do business in, and that means you could continue to see lots more trading activity within this range, and the outer edges are going to be very important. Anytime price comes out here, whether it's the next 3 weeks or whether the next 2 months, it could be a great buying opportunity back to 27.03. That's going to be a very sticky level right here. Same thing on the upside. If price comes up here around 2900 and can't hold above this key range high, it's going to be an opportunity to fade it back down. Until then, right now, it can be difficult. You have some short-term swings. Clearly, the trend right now is up. Price failed to hold above yesterday's low and closed back below it, but the trend is still up, and at the moment, price is holding just above that 27.0375 pivot. So the suggestion would be that bulls continue to own the current short-term trend, while the longer-term trend may have gone into trading range mode now. So we'll continue to watch the ES. Nothing surefire in a way to look for at this moment, but the trend remains up, so looking for failures at lows for an upside continuation is the most likely outcome here. If you look at the NQ, very similar behavior here. Obviously, we had the big trend up overall, major impulse sell-off to the downside here, and what that did really is give you a nice key range to look for, and that key range here spans from this area to here with that midpoint at 66.53. At the moment, we are holding just above that 66.53.75 key midpoint, and we formed a little range here. Again, the trend remains up. The previous session there was a failure to hold below the low, but not a very bullish candle on the day. But today still appears that there is the potential to see another squeeze soon and claim that 69.65 quarter FOMC key level. That's the January 31st key level right there. And again, the trend has been very strong in the near term and very solid rejection off this low, and that would suggest that we could easily be headed another leg higher. So again, the next zone above is going to be 69.65 quarter. All right, let's take a look here at gold. Here's a look at gold. You can see here we've rejected off the 1362s. That was very important. That's the third rejection we've seen off that area. A big continuation to the downside. We've had hard rejections up there where we've tested one day and just turned around and ran back down. So in the previous session, what I mentioned was the primary idea in this case here was for price to stay mainly within this trading range in this distribution here from 1309 to 1365s. We thought there could be an opportunity to sell here, but it failed, and upon that failure we saw the squeeze back up within the range. Here's the move up, move down, move up, and now we are back on the way down. And what I mentioned yesterday was this hard rejection right here suggested that we could be back headed toward the 1317 FOMC key level. That's from 921. This is from the 920 FOMC key level. One's from the 2016, one's from 2017 time frame. And you can see we've reached that one already. The next one is still below. So very solid continuation the previous session. Usually when you see a high range stop run day like that, the next day is a low range digestion day. But tomorrow could be an opportunity to look for a failed new high, and that could get you headed back towards 17. So that's a very good trade opportunity to watch out for in the coming days ahead. All right, let's take a look here at crude oil. Here's a look at crude. You can see if we scroll out a little bit, big uptrending market, Nice pullback. This is the first major pullback that we've seen that has given us a great key range to work with, a big key range. We've had some smaller ones along this along the way in this uptrend, but this is a large key range from that high to this low. Bounced back to the mid yesterday, which is 62.18. So we now have the edges. The edges being 58.07 low, 66.29 high, 62.18 midpoint. That gives us an impulse range, the impulse move with the key range. Now, this is likely to keep prices maintained within those boundaries for a while. And so that could lead to further trading range behavior. And if we look at these edges here, very clean edges, that means that we could continue to see some chop in here. We could even come down here, and if we drop into this zone, it could be a great opportunity to look for a trap and a return back to 62.18. That is a high probability opportunity. Additionally, if price were to come up here, fail off of 67s, there could be a great return right back to 62.18s. Again, another high probability opportunity. As long as this key range is intact, we're going to have great moves like that. Eventually, we're going to see expansion from this range. When we do see expansion, we have upside targets and downside targets to play to. The upside targets are going to take us as high as 74.52, and 70.41 would be the 50% target. On the downside, you can see here that the mid target would be about 53.75, and then the bottom target would be 49.84. That would take you back to composite VPOC on a 1-year level, which is 49.17. So some great levels here that crude oil has given us. In the very short term, so that was long-term discussion. The short-term discussion here is we are currently in an uptrend alongside the broader market here, short-term, right? And we're seeing a failed new low right now. We did get the midpoint, but we have a failed new low, and that could provide another round of strength higher. And again, I mentioned before, 63 is the real ledge where everything came out. And then you have the FOMC key level just above at 64.38. We have not tested it since it went offered. And usually what happens is you take this offered, you come down here, you reject, it usually comes right back to that level. So again, this could be a failed new low that could be the precursor to the next bump up ahead. All right, lastly, let's take a look at Bitcoin futures here. If we took a look at XBT, Bitcoin has been very, very strong here in the near term. I mentioned to my traders in the trading room that I really haven't given it the props that it deserves here, at least lately, because when price dropped down into our target of 6,700, we got a great rejection day here. And almost nonchalantly in the trading room, we thought it was almost a given that we would take that low and bounce back to 10K and this 99.20 FOMC key level. And it did it without skipping a beat, without any wild gyrations or any increased volatility. It just quietly went to that target. And then all eyes were on 10K, right? Because we knew that above 10K opens up 12K. That's the top of this distribution here. And so that's where we are right now. We're right at around 12K. We had a major day up yesterday. Today's the pullback day. And so this is significant. Can price get above 12K? Because if it can, you see that LVN right there? That 12K is kind of separating the upper price distribution up to 16,500 and the lower distribution. So that's a very important level right there. So we'll continue to watch this again. Above that zone could open this thing up back towards 1650 very quickly. This has been a very bullish recovery. Any failure off 1200 or 12,000 opens up a retest back toward 10, and that could be significant here. One quick thing here. If you are a part of our Masters program here, you can go to PivotBossMasters.com. I released the upcoming live training schedule, which will take place the first week of March, the first full week. We're going to have a 5-day live training schedule. If you're a part of Masters, again, this training is yours free. If you are not a part of Masters, go to PivotBossMasters.com and check it out. Got a great offer for you. You can be a part of the event and also take advantage of all the on-demand training that's already available to you. All right, that's it for now. Let's take a look at how this finishes up the rest of the day. Good luck, trade well, and I'll talk to you soon.